Welcome to 9. Let's talk about creating a class from which objects can be instantiated. So we create a class that ultimately we can clone it out and have multiple objects, multiple instances of it. Now, let's say that there's a person class. I could have an instance of a person, could be a woman, an instance of a person could be a man, child. They're all instances of people, but they are objects. So when you create a class, you have to assign a name to it and determine what data and methods will be part of that class. For example, suppose you decide to create a class named employee. One instance variable of employee might be an employee number, and one necessary method might display a welcome message to new employees. To start out, you create a class header or class definition that starts the class. Now, it contains three parts: an optional access modifier, the keyword class, and any legal identifier you choose for the name of your class. So what you want to call it, the name of it, but it's got to be a legal name. When I say legal, we talked about that early on. Names you can use, words you can use and can't use, and the spelling of it, whether it's capital, lowercase, what it is. So the class access modifier, that's the first thing we need to deal with. And it could be public, protected, internal, or private. Public means access to the class is not limited. Protected, access to the class is limited to the class and any classes derived from the class. Internal, access is limited to the assembly to which the class belongs. Private, access is limited to another class to which the class belongs. In other words, a class should be private if it is contained within another class. And the containing class is the only one that should have access to it. Okay, so those are class access modifiers. Okay, so we can create an instance of the class, instance variables and methods. We can declare whether the variables are public or private. Now, one of the things we need to think about is if I create a class, I'm in essence saying I'm letting somebody duplicate it, and I need to be sure that it's going to work the way that it's supposed to work. And if there are integral components within that function that you can't modify, if you modify it, it will not work. I need to make those private to where outside entities can't come in and modify them, because if they do modify them, that will cause this class not to be functional, or the object that's created as an instance of the class not functional, and it doesn't work the way that it's intended or written. So having things public and private, it's a huge deal. It is a huge deal. Now, when we create instances of a class, it could be something as simple as employee, my assistant equals new employee. And we'll have our constructor there that builds that object. And if we go about everything in a clean and logical manner and follow the rules that are applied, our objects work the way they're supposed to work, and everything gets built and functions the way that it's supposed to function. Okay? So we've got a number of different exercises that utilize these concepts and mind tap this week. All right. Ask questions early and often, and see you in the next chapter. Here we go to chapter